Hey everyone, it's Dylan from the Black Forest Wood Company, and this week we're going to be showing you our process of creating one of the most amazing furniture packages we've ever done. We've got this Bastogne walnut bar top right here. Hope you guys enjoy seeing this process. So this one here is going to be the bar front. So it wraps around the front side and then returns back and has like a door that opens up to get behind the bar. So some of you have probably already seen the fireplace build that we did for this client last week. So if you haven't, we're going to leave a link down in the description and you can go check this out. But this is essentially going to be part 2 of this build. And if I'm being honest, this is probably the more impressive part of the build. What the client has commissioned here is pretty much a whole kitchen, and it's the first time that we've done an entire kitchen in this style. I know my father, way back like 20 years ago, he's done custom kitchens for clients, but that was obviously before we did any of the resin work that we do now. So we're doing a Bastogne walnut and smoky gray resin front, and then all quarter sawn whiteout cabinets to go behind that feature. There's kind of 2 components to the bar top. There's the front vertical standing feature, but then there's also going to be a horizontal bar top that's going to sit above our vertical feature. And that's what's going to be used to serve drinks on, for people to eat on, and actually where the bar stools will pull right up. So what you're seeing on the CNC here right now are the pieces for that vertical feature that's going on the front. One thing that you can see on these pieces is they're primarily sapwood, which again matches quite nicely with the fireplace piece. So there's a lot of that lighter colored woods, but then you get the darker marbled heartwood that the Bastogne walnut's known for. So once we're finished all the prep on the slabs, which consisted of cutting them up and debarking the pieces, we can begin getting ready for the resin pour. So as you've probably already guessed, we're using our Black Forest deep resin for this. And that's one important part of being able to pull off a successful pour of this size is the resin that you choose. So our Black Forest deep resin has been specifically formulated for thick pours of this volume, but there's also a lot of other steps that we've taken outside of the brand of resin that we're using. So you'll notice our whole pour room is sealed off. We've got sliding doors there. We've got 2 air conditioners in the room, which keep our pour room right around 15 or 16 degrees Celsius. Then for our molds, you'll notice that we pour on a sheet of white HDPE. So that sheet is a 1/4 inch thick, and then beneath that we have a 1/4 inch thick sheet of aluminum with water cooling going beneath it. So there's a reservoir that sits beneath the table, there's a chiller and a pump in the corner, and it circulates chilled water all the way beneath our pour tables, and it helps control the exothermic reaction of pours of this size. So in combination with using a high quality resin and cooling the resin, we're able to pour easily 3 inches thick in a single shot. And we've done some crazy things, like we did this one casting that was 18 inches thick in one shot once. Now, after sitting for 1 week in the form, we can come along and demold these pieces and get them ready to start flattening on the Avid CNC machine. So for our molds, we didn't have to use any mold release. Essentially what we've done is just use tuck tape, and then we've got the white HDPE on the bottom. Both of those materials will release the epoxy pretty easily on their own. Now, as you can tell here right now, we're having to put in quite a few wedges to get it released off the bottom. We are probably due for a replacement for those bottom HDPE sheets. We usually get about 100 pours out of them, and then after that they do start sticking, but pretty easy and pretty simple just to replace those sheets every so often. Once we've got everything demolded and off the tables, we get them down with our forklift, and then it's on to the Avid CNC machine for the flattening that I talked about. So you may have noticed that during the pour, we've over poured above the surface of the wood, and that's something that is intentional, and what our efforts are with that is to try and fill in all the small voids and imperfections in a single shot. Now, it never really works that way. There is still always fills that we have to do afterwards, but by pouring that additional layer of resin, I'd say you cut the amount of fills you have to do at least in half. Now we can begin cutting up some of the components closer to their final size. So you may have seen us pour this piece earlier in the video, and it might not have made a lot of sense. This is going to be an icebox feature on the bar top. So on one of the corners there's going to be no wood, and they want it purposely to be solid epoxy so that we can illuminate the space with LEDs and draw attention to the icebox that's going to be sitting on the corner of this bar top. Essentially they're going to have a stainless steel box that's going to notch into the top of our cabinetry. There'll be a drain in the bottom, and then they can fill that up with ice and drinks so that people in this guest house at any time they want can come up and grab some drinks. What you saw us do right there was cut a 45-degree angle on the end of this icebox piece to add a return. This is essentially just a filler block so that when we come on site and install, it can wrap around the corner and cover all the cabinetry. Another important point that I should mention in this build, all of this furniture, the kitchen and the fireplace component, are for a guest house. The small guest house that sits on the property of the main house. In total, it's one of the most amazing and incredible properties that we've ever got to deliver to, and we're just honored for the opportunity to get to work for such incredible clients. So after our initial flattening, we went over the whole piece with our Black Forest coat thin resin to try and fill in some more of those imperfections. And now we're just sticking it through our 54-inch drum sander to, number one, take off more of that excess resin, but also just to eliminate a lot of the hand sanding that we're going to have to do. You could start your hand sanding directly off the CNC machine, but it'll be sitting there for a very long time, so it's nice that we have access to this machine. It just helps save a lot of time. And for local woodworkers, I should also mention that we will rent out our sander if you want to come use it. So if you've done your own pour and you flattened it on your own router jig, bring it to our shop and we'll pump it through our sander for you. And the charge for something like this is $150 an hour, so obviously it depends on the size of your piece, but our minimum charge is a quarter hour. So if you have just something small, that's what we'll charge you. And then once we've got it stuck through our sander, we can take this piece over to the panel saw to begin to cut our 45-degree angles on this piece. Now, this is kind of a waterfall, but not really, because it's not going up and down vertically like a waterfall piece would. It's kind of like a horizontal waterfall. I don't know, maybe you guys can come up with a word in the comments on what we should call this. So the middle portion is going to stand vertically, and then the two ends are going to wrap backwards to cover all of the cabinetry. So the look that we're going for here is to essentially hide all of the cabinets from the main space of this guest house, so that when you're standing back, all you see is this crazy illuminated resin feature. So after those 45-degree cuts are made, we can come along with our domino and add some of those dominoes in for a little bit of extra strength. Well, maybe not. I know there's a lot of contention on that. We were discussing that last week. And then for the glue up, we like to use wood glue on the wooden sections itself, and then epoxy on the epoxy sections. Now, one other comment that we get quite commonly is, why not use epoxy for everything? It's because epoxy doesn't actually bond wood as good as wood glue does. That even goes for furniture components where epoxy isn't involved. Like I've seen some other makers recently do some table leg glue ups where they're using epoxy instead of wood glue, and it makes me nervous because that will not last over time. And the way that we know is from our exterior doors. We, for the longest time, used Titebond 3. It worked great, and we should have listened to that good old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But we thought we could improve the quality of our laminations by using epoxy, and we did our first door, and it failed within 2 months. All of the seams separated. So in an exterior environment, that result is accelerated, but even in an interior environment, my fear would be that that's still going to happen over time. So here is more of those fills. Now, we do not film nearly all of the process that this takes. We spend probably 12 hours on a piece like this. Now, what you're seeing John do here right now is he's going over the quality of the glue joint in the epoxy. One of our glue ups was in solid epoxy, so he's just going over that with a bright light to make sure that no air bubbles got trapped from within there. And once we're satisfied, then we can go along and clean everything up. So this is a small part of the project, but personally probably one of my favorites. It's the door that we're adding to this countertop. It's hard to tell right now, but when this thing is shut, it lines up perfectly with the rest of the countertop. So you get this seamless appearance, and we also install some magnets in here later, so the whole thing just snaps closed in this really satisfying way. And now you can see our low quality workbenches that we've been using, but John's working away right now on the countertop. So this is that horizontal piece that's also done in Bastogne walnut, and it's going to get fastened into our vertical countertop piece using steel plates. So they're just L brackets. Part of it's going to notch into the back of the countertop, and then the other part is going to notch in to the other part of the countertop, if that makes any sense. Now, these dominoes that we're adding here are essentially purely for alignment. They're just going to stick out vertically, pointing straight up in the air, and then we have matching recesses in the bottom of the countertop. We will add glue to those on site. We're not gluing them now though, just for ease of transportation. Being that we're in Calgary and this client is all the way down in Nevada, it's going to be a lot safer and more cost effective to ship this piece disassembled. We're just going along and putting our standard bevel on all of these pieces. So that's a 2mm bevel. We just use an angle bit and a palm router, and it just takes that sharpness off the pieces while still giving them a nice clean look. And then after everything has been prepped to 320 grit, we can take this piece over to Gecko for its sprayed acrylic urethane finish. This piece, being that it's a vertical standing piece, I guess technically doesn't need the same level of durability as one of our tables, but we still went with the same acrylic urethane finish. There's no point compromising the durability for something like this, and even though it's the kind of piece that commonly wouldn't get a lot of traffic, I kind of have a feeling that people are going to be drawn to this and want to touch it and feel it. So it's just best that we have the most durable coating we can possibly put on there. Now, this is not a one coat system that Gecko does here. I think it's like 2 coats of sealer and then 3 or 4 coats of the top coat on there. And it varies depending on the porosity of the species, but all of that just ensures that we have a nice thick coating to protect this. And now we've got some of these quarter sawn white oak cabinets that's going to be going to our clients. So like I said, this is for the guest house, and the main house already had a bunch of cabinetry in it that we had no part in building. So we had to make sure that we had a perfect grain and stain match between all those pieces. But then once everything's completed, we can begin packing everything up in the crate. Then we contact a carrier to pick this up and physically ship the pieces down. Our crew gets on a plane, we fly down, we meet the pieces, and then we can begin installing this kitchen. Well, hello everyone. We are here at our client's gorgeous home near Lake Tahoe. Guest home, I should correct myself. We're going to be completing our installation of the giant Bastogne walnut bar top and the giant Bastogne walnut fireplace cover. Haven't really done a fireplace cover like this before, and this isn't just your average bar top either. We've done the full cabinet construction, and it's more of like a vertical facade going over this bar. So let's head on inside, and I'll give you guys a quick little tour of the place right now, and we'll show you what we're putting in. So along this whole wall here, we'll put the rendering on the screen right now. We're doing all of our cabinets and that bar facade that I talked about.
Run down on just where everything's going and stuff. So that door is being mounted onto right here. Okay. So I got the little piece I'll mount first, and then I'll measure off that. Line out my 4 cabinets. Will be the main job today. Get the LEDs.
Those cabinets are the bar?
Or the bar, yeah. Okay. And then our big resin cap is going on the end.
Yeah.
And then tall cabinet is going in this corner.
Yep.
Those are the only other 2 cabinets. Other than that, I got a spacer for I think it's a fridge here. Yeah. Dishwasher there.
Oh yeah. Okay. I think we can. We're gonna need to rest it on your end, and then I'll come back.
And then if we can tip up the backside.
Yeah. Hang on. Okay, tip her up.
Okay.
Here we go. Let's go up over the.
So here's the door that I mentioned earlier. As you can see, Randy and John are just getting the jamb or frame of it, whatever you'd call that piece, mounted onto the wall. And you can see that there's huge recesses on this door for the hinges. That's because we're using Tectus hinges. Now, normally these are for man doors, like these aren't cabinet door hinges, but because everything we build is so big and so heavy, we kind of have to utilize something like this. Otherwise, we're gonna be compromising the function of our hardware. Something else we enjoy about these hinges is the adjustability that they offer. There's another brand of hinges that has this clean knuckle look called Sauce, which they're beautiful hinges, but they have 0 adjustability. So on a piece like this, where it's solid wood and you're going to experience some expansion and contraction, you kind of need that adjustability to make sure you could still have your door functioning. So that's what John's doing right now. He's getting everything screwed in, getting that adjustment tuned up. And once we have the rest of the countertop in, you'll see how this kind of clips in with the magnets.
Boom, boom, boom.
So is that icebox resin panel that goes here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see. So
and it arcs into here.
Yeah. Oh, I get it.
Yeah. I've had like mini anxiety attacks over the past week just thinking about coming here because I'm like, it's not like I just built this. Like, I helped design, figure out, talk with the clients about every single aspect of it.
You were like the main guy on this, John.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, this is my baby.
Yeah.
Do we make it all resin so you can see inside it, but it's...
You'll see the back of this.
Yeah, you'll just see the wood.
Well, we'll put the vinyl.
Okay.
White
Yeah,
vinyl.
we'll put the white, and then our other resin piece goes here, and then we'll white vinyl that, so you'll see it on the inside too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was gonna be like clear right into the ice box.
That's what I thought at first
Yeah,
too.
but obviously it needs to be like
There's like no
steel inside
Yeah.
too. Like
Yeah.
resin's not gonna keep everything cold for super long.
We're just actually doing the final positioning of the front bar section of the cabinets. We've got it positioned, ready to go. John's got the door mounted here, precisely where it needs to be. Back cabinets are mounted. We're moving along. Got a few more hours worth of work left here, so we're working away. Hope you're going out. I think we should rough cut the length or the height because it's going to just be harder to handle.
Yep.
So you got to make sure we're trying to keep an even tension on the roll.
It was a good day though.
That was a big
Very
full
good.
day, eh, John? Yeah, we got exactly where we needed to be.
Exactly.
Yeah, no less, wouldn't have been any better. Or, yeah,
I was expecting beer till 8 o'clock tonight, so
yeah,
6 is pretty good.
I don't know what we would have done if John wasn't here.
yeah, I know.
Kind of needed him, but
Yeah, it's
Cry.
down.
yeah.
Part of the
John's a machine.
lighting is in.
John is a machine. El Machina. El Johnny Machina.
Day 2, here we are. We're going to finish this off today. We got enough done yesterday that we're feeling pretty comfortable, but the day isn't over till it's over. That's my famous last words. I'm attaching the LED channel track. This holds the LED light to the underside of our strip here, and then we'll cover everything with white vinyl. And it's just we're gonna have LED shining down from the top and up from the bottom.
Other side, and they're pretty.
But if I whistle ABBA, right, it makes me feel better.
Well, Brad's performing.
That's why I want this music.
What do you really try to say, John?
How long ago did we make these drawers, do you think?
I made them back in January.
It was like the first thing.
Oh, roughly, yeah.
So we need some of this.
Some of this, yeah.
Okay. So what do we need? 4 feet?
Go with like 8 feet.
8 feet?
Yeah.
Something like this. So I should take this maybe?
You can take that. I can get an actual name of it too. I got the name right there. 300 volt 20 AWG. I now know I can solder it together. He just said if I solder on the pins, I'm okay. So if I have to cut them down, I can.
Now, a big part of the feature on this project was the LED integration. So what we're setting up here is an LED strip on the floor that's going to shoot up, and then there's also an LED strip on the top of the countertop that shoots down towards the floor. And after we place our bar in front, it should kind of illuminate the edges of all the slabs. Something else fun about this project is John got to learn how to solder and then use his skills, his newly learned skills, I should stress, on this $160,000 project. And fortunately, John is amazing. As Randy said last time, John is a machine, and he got it done. So first time's the charm for John. He learned it once and soldered everything here perfectly. But as you know with the internet, there is always experts who know better. So maybe you guys can offer some advice for us on what we should have done here with soldering.
The thing was an inch in.
I might just be able to fold her down.
So.
Okay, so now is for the big lift. This is the front vertical resin feature that I've been mentioning, the main feature on this whole build. It's probably about 700 pounds, so we've got 8 guys here all set up, and we're gonna try and get this thing lifted in one piece. So it might make the most sense to slide out and then tip up.
Ready, go. Ready. Okay, now from there.
Careful we don't think
Got the lift. Go.
Might have to come one by one to the inside of this.
Okay. Once here.
Yes, on our corners. Okay, let me get my fingers right underneath there. Okay, you're gonna get your fingers squished, man. Go get your fingers. Okay.
You didn't leave me with any weight. He took it all. Warm in there.
We do some of the oil. Yeah, that's just because of the pigment. Like if we
Yeah, they're not
So is it your guys' goal to finish today?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We are gonna finish.
We are going home tomorrow.
Yeah, this is like,
Care about. So we have the shelves.
you'll just put the costume samples into their proposal.
All right, so then once we've got our top glued on and we've got the clamps in place, we're gonna let it tack up and cure for probably about 2 hours before we move anything and actually get it lifted into place. But in the meantime, we can go back to working on some of the details for the cabinets and just getting everything prepared for that. Okay, so as you can see on the front of our surface where we put our vinyl, we ended up getting some pretty bad wrinkles in this one panel, so Brad is just carefully cutting out the vinyl right now. We'll peel it out and then we'll stick a brand new piece back in. It should look a lot better. And it's kind of funny because coming to this job, we thought this was going to be the easiest part of everything, and it was probably the most challenging thing we had to do, but we're going to mess around with it and get it perfect. And once we've finally got this damn vinyl finished, maybe that's something else you can offer advice for and how we can make that easier. It's time though to get the bar top lifted in front of our cabinets. So this is kind of the big reveal, the big moment that us and our client has been waiting for. We're finally going to get to see proof of our concept with these LEDs and how it illuminates the rest of the piece. Now, this was pretty stressful because we could not scratch the inside of the countertop for obvious reasons. Number one, we don't want to have to pull it back out, and number two, we're here on site. It's kind of hard to fix at this point. So fortunately, that all went perfectly to get everything in place, but we still had to secure the bar top itself down into position. So what we sort of fashioned and came up with was adding some big wood screws from the inside of the cabinet into the back of that bar top. Well, I think it looks incredible. Never seen something like this, and it's like a big weight has been lifted off all of our shoulders now that we've got this finally fit in here, and the clients love it, so that makes it all that much better.
It's because it's down and out. It's not.
So we're not sitting perfect. All we're doing is kind of pulling our ends in, so we're parallel with the door. And by doing that, we're just gonna put a little spacer here, put a screw top and bottom on this part of the icebox and just kind of suck it in so we're sitting flush with the door.
Now, after this was in place, we also realized that this was going to be very dusty, put a bunch of dust behind our clear resin, and we had no way to get it out. So we had all hands on deck here. We've got a microfiber sitting beneath the drill bit to catch the dust. Then I'm operating the vacuum cleaner to suck out all the dust created, just so we can keep everything perfectly clean behind there. Now, here are those magnets that I mentioned earlier. So John is drilling out the matching recess in the countertop so that we can fit those magnets in, and look at that. I actually wish I could go back there just so I could like play with this, because I feel like I didn't do it enough times when I was on site. It's so satisfying. Now here you can see that ice box that I mentioned earlier. You can also see more wrinkly vinyl that we're going to have to fix in a little bit. So we also created some veneered white oak shelves to go behind the cabinetry that we're going to match the rest of the cabinetry. Our solution to mount them was honestly quite low tech, but it worked. We had steel dowel that came out of the wall that was unfortunately too loose to fit into the back of our shelves. So we jointed a flat spot on two faces of the PVC pipe and then it fit. And one final thing before we head out, we're adding a fresh coat of ceramic to the bar top itself. We've also just released our new sprayable graphene coating. It hasn't been out for long, but it's absolutely blown us away, you guys. And now something fun to do is look back on our initial rendering and compare it to the finished product. Well, that was a hard couple days. Hats off to my dad, Randy, and John especially. They absolutely killed it on the install for this. The clients will be sending us photos once this is all finished up, so we'll be sure to post some of those photos once it's all completed. But this is one of the most amazing projects that we have ever been a part of. Again, huge thank you to our clients, huge thank you to the designer, huge thank you to the home builder as well who helped us out on this install. We were a little nervous, I think all of us leading up to this. I know John especially said he was having some sleepless nights leading up to this install, but it all basically went absolutely perfectly. So what we completed for this project was all the quarter sawn white oak cabinetry that you're seeing here behind the bar. We also did the matching shelving back here that's got LED integration. We've got bottom lighting on the front shining down, and then at the back on the top side we've got lighting that's shining up. And of course the main feature of this job out here is the Bastogne walnut and smoky gray resin front that we've done the bar top on. And this back here is one of my favorite features of the whole job, the magnetic door to pass through into the golf simulator, and it's quite satisfying to watch this thing close. Snaps right into place like that. So the icebox is actually covered on all sides, so we built a solid resin panel that goes all the way around the front here, and what you can also see on top and bottom is LED strips that one obviously shining up, the other one shining down, and it just illuminates and really accentuates the pattern that we have in the resin. And then I love on the front here, those same LED strips make the whole river glow. So they kind of outline the live edge of the wood, and you've even got like some little knots and voids in here that really make things shine. And Bastogne walnut, as I think some of you guys know, is my favorite species of wood. So this turned out just incredible. And we cannot wait to hopefully do more work for these clients. And thank you to all of you for choosing to watch our videos. We'll see you next week.